Welcome to the I Love Recruiting podcast with your host, Adam Roach.
Welcome back, everybody, to the I Love Recruiting podcast. I am your host, Adam Roach, and today we are going to cover step number 3 in, my series on how to recruit. So if you remember, I kind of did them a little bit backwards last time. Step number 2 was mindset. Get your mind right. Step number 1 was understand your pond. So if we reverse those, let's go into step number 1, and that is your mindset. Having the right mindset. When you're sitting down and recruiting someone, you better be in an authentic mindset to share and offer value related to questions. Now, step number 2 was know your pond. How big is your recruiting pond in your specific area? And step number 3, we're going to talk about how to build relationships with someone that you're recruiting. Now, I'm sure you're asking the question, Adam, are we really going to sit here for the next 15 to 30 minutes listening to you on how to build a relationship? I don't know. Let's see if you actually do. Let's see if I can keep your attention. I'm going to share with you what I've learned on how to build relationships. So let's talk about this. How do you build a relationship with someone? Well, I have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old, soon to be 10 and 12. Love them dearly. They are the apples of my eye. The apple did not fall far from the tree. They are both massive tennis players. My son, who is 12, and my daughter, who is 10, soon to be 10. They keep telling me that because their birthdays are in 1 month and 2 months, respectively. Building relationships, though, I teach them that the way to build the best relationships with someone is to ask questions, learn about them, and learn about them in an authentic manner, right? So we talked about that in step number 1, and that is show up authentically. So when you're building relationships with someone, you're going to ask them questions. And if you go to iloverecruiting.com and you enter in your name and email address right there, I'll send you the list of 26 questions that I use every single time I'm meeting with someone to get to know them better, specifically in the real estate space if I'm recruiting them. So asking questions. What does asking questions even really do? Well, let's just put it this way. I want you to pause for a second, and I want you to go back to the last time you were having a conversation with someone. Maybe it was a friend, maybe it was a coworker, maybe it was just, a random conversation on the bus, the subway, in an Uber shared, whatever it was, right? What do you do? What do you do when you're in a conversation? You're probably talking about yourself. That's what we do. People talk about themselves all the time. What are the 2 things that people love to do the most related to themselves? They want to look good and they want to be right? So what do? You get into a conversation and you probably, okay, let me pause for a second because I'm getting excited here. Here's what I have done in the past. I'll get into a conversation with someone and I will start to talk about myself specific to that part of the conversation. Why do we do that? I don't know why we do that. Maybe we want to look good. Maybe we want to be right. Maybe we want to sound bigger and better, faster, stronger than what we really are. I don't know why we do that. But stop for a second. Stop. Pump the brakes. Stop. My kids and I, we had an amazing weekend this past weekend. My father passed away over a year ago, and this was Father's Day weekend that he had suggested, actually he had told us in his deathbed that he wanted us to go to a specific lake and rent a specific houseboat and do specific actions and spread his ashes. And we did. And it was an amazing event. Amazing. Definitely memorable for myself and my kids and my siblings. Really cool. On the way back, it was an 8-hour drive. We practiced asking questions. We practiced talking to each other in conversational form. And one of the things that I helped them understand was when you are in a relationship, when you're building a relationship with someone, and people start talking about themselves, right? That's normally what people do in conversations is they'll talk about themselves. Ask them more questions about themselves. So let's get into a little role play right now. Here's what I will share with you about the 26 questions. If you go to iloverecruiting.com and enter your name, I'll send you those questions. It starts with, hey, tell me about yourself. And this is what I used to always say. Tell me about yourself. You were born and then what happened, right? Because people will take you through a little bit of a timeline and you will start to learn more about them in that specific space. Now, here's what I would also suggest doing. take one of their replies or take one of their answers and say, hey, tell me more about that. Tell me more about this. What did that specifically mean to you when you did X, right? Or what did that make you feel? There's a big one right there. For all of my coaching clients, they know that I really coach to the tune of understanding that word what, using that to start sentences versus how did you feel or why did you do that, right? Remember, the word why evokes a positive or negative impact. The word what do you feel indicates, goes deep, a little bit deeper than a how do you feel? What did you specifically feel? So let's get into that role play. So tell me about yourself. You were born and then what happened? Listen, listen, and listen again. Ask more probing questions. Great. So tell me about that time when you went to the University of UCLA and you were on the tennis team. What was that like? Right? Well, they'll say, well, it was hard. It was tough. We played a lot of great schools. We did this, we did that. Okay, great. What was that like when you played whatever school it was, right? Use their language also back to them. Let's go into the real estate space now. Great. So now you learned about their past and now you're into the future. Ask them questions right now. So, hey, let me ask you a question because we're going to dive into your business right now, Mr. or Mrs. Recruit. Tell me about your business right now. Would you say that it's increasing, decreasing, or flat? Pause. Now, let's go back. So I've recruited in the real estate space for over 10 years now. From the stretch of 2013 till about 2017, 18, there's a 4 to 5 year stretch there where I recruited 700 agents. And this was the best question that I would ask after any kind of question that they would answer. What about that concerns you? Listen to that. What about that, right? Meaning their answer. And you can use the word specifically. What about that specifically concerns you? Because here's what you're doing, right? Remember, the title of this podcast is Building Relationships. And you build relationships by asking questions and deep diving those questions and going even deeper by asking questions that and using words like the word specifically and the words like think and feel and what. Okay, so let's go back to this. So is your tell me about your business right now. Do you feel that it is increasing, decreasing, or flat? And here's what they'll probably say. Increasing. No one will really tell you if it is decreasing or not. They'll probably say, yeah, it's increasing. Now, you should know their numbers ahead of time. Or they might say, it's about the same. Or specifically to our time right now, since we are in still a pandemic time, right? They might say something to the fact that, well, it's flat because of, well, I took 3 months off for Corona. And then you simply say, great. Just out of curiosity, does that concern you that it's flat? And they'll say, yes. And then you ask the question, what specifically about that concerns you? Okay, now let's pause for a second because we're talking about building relationships. I want you to hear this loud and clear. As a recruiter, it is your job to get comfortable asking uncomfortable based questions. So can you visualize yourself being in a recruiting appointment, asking tough conversations that are not you vomiting solutions onto everybody? Stop doing that. I know you're doing that, so stop doing that right now. If I was your coach, you should actually reach out to me because I can be your coach and I can help you with this. That was a little plug there for myself, shamelessly. Stop solving solutions or stop solving their problems, right? Get comfortable asking uncomfortable based questions. So what specifically about your business being flat concerns you? Pause. Wait. If you go back to one of my previous podcasts, we had, I believe it was, I don't remember what podcast it was, but I do know in the title it says, wait, why am I talking? I'm pretty sure that was my man Terrell in Atlanta. He was sharing about that. So again, we're talking about building relationships and we're going deep and we're getting now comfortable asking uncomfortable based questions. Now, we're going to go through that continual list of the 26 questions. I'm going to pull it up right here so I have it in front of me. After you go into their business and you ask them if their business is increasing, decreasing, or flat, I want you to go into this next series of questions. And again, if you have this, pull this out in front of you because this is what we're talking about. And now it is asking them specific questions about their business. Like, for example, What's your future vision for your business? Ooh, love that question. Why? Because you want to know what they visualize for their business. Do you know what I found out? Most people don't have a vision for this. What's important about that? That means no one's asking them about their vision or about their business, meaning that their broker's probably not asking them about their vision. Let's keep going. This episode of the I Love Recruiting podcast is being brought to you by Recruiting Bridge. Recruiting Bridge has been the trusted global recruiting platform inside of Keller Williams for the last 6 years. Are you an agent looking to grow your profit share or a team leader looking to grow your market center? Recruiting Bridge is the answer. Over the last 6 years, Recruiting Bridge has helped Keller Williams Realty grow by nearly 100,000 agents. Go to recruitingbridge.com and start your 60-day free trial today. recruitingbridge.com. So what's your future vision for your business look like? Do you feel right now you have reached your full potential? Right? That's a great question. Do you feel you reached your full potential? You know what the answer to that's always going to be? Nope. It's always going to be no. And then here's the next question you should ask. What specifically do you feel is your next level of success in your business? So did you hear that? What specifically is the next level of success for your business? Here's what they always say for the most part. They want to double their business. Every single time they want to double their business. So if you're talking to a 2 million, they're going to go 4 million, 4 million, 8 million, 8 million, 16, 16, 32, and so on and so forth. They always want to double their business. Now, keep going. Don't solve their solution. Don't solve their problems. Stop. Don't do it. I know you're going to do it. Don't do it. Stop. Don't solve their problems. I want you to go on this series of questions here. How many closings did you have last year? How many closings have you had year to date? And wait for them to answer that, because do you know what they're going to say? They probably don't know their numbers. That's okay, because you're building a relationship with them. You're building rapport with them. Let's keep diving in. What is your income goal for this year? Now, if someone hasn't made 100,000, you know what their goal is going to be? 100,000. That 6-figure number is so important to them. Or if they have, they're probably going to go for either $250,000, $500,000, $750,000, or $1 million. Actually, they usually go from $500,000 to $1 million. They always skip 3/4. And then what I want you to do is ask them what specifically is important to you about that number. And just wait and listen. Because here's what I want you to do specifically with this question. What specifically is important to you about that number? Let them tell you, and then ask this question. What else is important to you about that number? Go deeper, right? This is the mineral diving part. And then ask them again, what else? Pause, listen. If they start thinking, they're going to get quiet. And then the last question you ask, and again, this is something that I teach, ask them this question. Is there anything else that is specifically important to you about that number, right? Because you're going from surface. The surface answer is usually an okay answer. It's an answer they've thought of. The second one is, now you're really getting a little bit deeper. The third question is like, ooh, that's a little uncomfortable. I don't know if I want to go that deep. And the fourth time when you say, is there anything else? I mean, they're way down here, right? They're way down here in the depths of trying to figure out why that number is important to them. And here's the thing, gang, we're building relationships. As they start to lower that defense mechanism that we all have when people are diving into us, specifically with questions, that defense mechanism will come down, right? Let's go into the next series of questions. Are you on track to hit your income goal? Right? They're going to probably say no. Then you can keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Now let's get a little more specific. What if you didn't reach your goal? What would that make you feel? If you didn't reach that goal of $100,000, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, what would that make you feel? Pause, wait, listen. What else? What else? Anything else? And then go to the next question. Love this one. If you didn't hit that income goal, would it be okay? Pause. Now, did you hear the difference between that question and the what questions, right? That last question was a close-ended question. I want you to realize the difference between the two. Closed-ended question is something that will say a yes or a no. An open-ended question is a question that does not end with or it can be answered with a yes or no. Pay attention to when to use those and not when to use those. Then you go into their challenges, right? What do you need to do from this point forward to accomplish your goal? What specifically is your biggest challenge are you having? And so on and so forth, right? And then as you keep going, let me see if there's any other, there's a lot of great questions in this 26 questions. Again, we're talking specifically about building relationships so that you can get into recruiting. Here's what I want you to do. When you're going through these questions, when you have this series of 26 questions in front of you, which again, when you get that, I want you to download it and I want you to print it out. And I want you to use it for every single recruiting appointment that you have. Use it, use it, use it, use it. Keep it in front of you. Write their answers on your sheet of paper, because when people see you writing that, they think you care more, right? Which you probably do. And you need to write it down because, well, you'll forget. Trust me, you will forget. Now, what happens next? You've gone through your 26. You've actually scheduled a second appointment because you're not closing right now and you're not word vomiting on them because all you've done is ask questions. You're building a relationship. They're going to get up. They're going to shake your hand. They're going to give you a hug post-corona. Maybe they'll give you an elbow bump. Pre-corona, that was the hug. And they're going to walk out thinking, wow, that was incredible. And why and what would cause them to think that? What would cause them to think that that was incredible? I'm going to tell you, because they got to talk about themselves. Because they got to share with you what specifically was important to them about their future. And maybe if they didn't know what was going to be important to them about their future, guess what? You asked them anyway. Now they start to build the confidence and maybe even the vision inside of their head. We're talking about building relationships here, specifically in the recruiting space for real estate agents. Now, what comes next? Validity, right? In my recruiting equation, the next step is adding validity. The recruiting equation looks like this: relationships plus validity equals self-discovery. They need you. Okay? They need you. So the next series that we will have in this step-by-step program will be how to add validity. So today was all about building relationships. And here's what I want you to do. Not only do I want you to go to iloverecruiting.com and enter your name, and we will send you the 26 questions. It's right there on the homepage. Just enter your name and your email address, and we'll instantly shoot you those 26 questions. I want you to go up to the solutions page. I believe it's the solutions page. And click on the upcoming webinar. We have upcoming webinars that I highly, highly, highly recommend that you watch. Now, these or at least be a part of. These webinars, I'm not sure when they're going to start running, but I want you to go there anyway and register so that we can send you information on when that next webinar is going to be, because I will share with you in the webinar the 4 steps on how to recruit a producing agent, and you do not want to miss this, because again, there's more freemiums in there. I give stuff away all the time. Go check it out, iloverecruiting.com. So again, let's summarize what we just learned here. This is all about building relationships, asking questions, going deep with your questions, and getting comfortable asking uncomfortable based questions, okay? And don't word vomit on them. Let them talk. Let them hear their voice. Let them share the word I, and you take notes. You take notes and you start to listen for what we call the value gap, where they are and where they want to be, because the next step in this recruiting process is how to build validity. Okay, so action items from this podcast. Go to iloverecruiting.com. Give us your name. We'll send you the list of 26 questions, and also go to the solutions page and register for the upcoming webinars, where I will share with you my 4-step series on how to recruit producing agents, where I did over 700 agents in a 4 to 5 year period, bringing in nearly $140,000 per month. That's right. And I did it based on building relationships. So my name is Adam Roach, everybody. I am your host, and this has been the I Love Recruiting podcast, step number 3 on how to build relationships. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.